Hello.
Hello. Your hair's all different.
Oh, it's up on top of my head.
Right?
Too hot for hair. Way too hot for hair.
It is hot, isn't it? Yeah.
I've got my school teacher look going on today.
All right. Okay. Well, we can both start doing this
Yes.
then. Oh, this is weird. I don't seem to. Oh, that's better. I didn't seem to be lit. I think I am. Who's that? There's a dark shadow on one half of my screen.
Too much sun behind you. Too much sun coming in the window.
Yeah, there is a lot, isn't there? It's nice. Yeah. So how are you doing then?
Yeah, I must admit, I love the sun. I love working with sun magic. I don't really like the heat, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does, because I like the sun, and I love waking up when the sun's just rising and all that kind of thing, and you get a beautiful sky and all that. But anything over 20 degrees and I start melting.
Yep. I'm not one for sitting in it, I must admit.
No, I don't know. You probably have to. I've got the garden organised so that my sitting places have got a nice shade umbrella.
Yep.
But it has to be for me because Paul likes it. But he grew up on what was then the Gold Coast in Accra. And so,
used to it.
25 degrees, freezing. So, yeah, bit sort of Jack Sprat, and that.
Gotta make it work.
Both of us sound a little bit sort of like saggy with the heat.
Yes, I think that's what it is, isn't it? It's a bit hard to kind of get motivated, really, isn't it? We shouldn't complain, really, should we? If it was pouring with rain, we'd complain. If it was snowing, we'd complain. Now we've got a bit of sunshine, we're complaining.
It's probably a thing, you've got to complain of the weather.
It's British, isn't it? It's a British thing to complain about the weather.
But no, I've just been out watering.
Yeah.
Because I've just planted up the meadows with some new plants, and so it's sort of gone. It's got seed and plug plants, and then these are a few larger plants that we'll do this year. But of course, the poor things that were saying, "Excuse me, it hasn't rained."
Yeah. What are you putting me in this dry old bare stuff for?
Well, it's not bare, thank goodness, because you just make a space in the long grass, which is all 18 inches, nearly 2 foot now. It's all flowering. It's actually fantastic.
Excellent.
But so they are getting some shade, and the water's not evaporating immediately. But you still got to go out and water.
Yeah. It is a daily job at the moment, isn't it?
So morning and evening. But fortunately, I didn't get out as early as I would have liked this morning. But fortunately, it's relatively cool in the morning and relatively cool in the evening. What are we going to talk about then?
Well, we had a question a while back that we've not got round to because we've talked about lots of other things. We had a question about the elements and whether we work with the 4 or 5 elements within our own practices. And I guess as well, whether we associate them with the same things as well, because the elements are associated with compass directions, aren't they? But not everyone associates them with the same directions.
No, it changes with cultures, doesn't it? What do you do?
Well, my initial training was Wicca, so it is north as east, north as, can't even speak today. North is earth, east is air, south is fire, and west is water.
Yeah.
And that's from my basic Wiccan training. I did go on a shamanic course one weekend, and it was all changed around. And it did throw me, I must admit, because I'd spent so many years doing it the same way.
Yeah.
It really threw me to switch it around. Though I have changed it on occasion when we've done rituals down by the sea. We just included west as wherever the ocean, whatever side of the ocean was on, and based it from there. But yeah, generally that's what I stick with.
Yeah, yeah. My training was the same. And I did use those compass points. I was taught those compass points. But more than those, I was taught, as you went on to say, soil, earth, air, fire, and water. And I did point to myself to those on the compass points. But it doesn't quite always work. So if I'm like you, if I was by the sea, I probably would, have water there. My students have done, even though it isn't west.
Yeah.
I mean, my New York girls, it's east.
Right. Yes.
Because of where they're standing.
Yeah.
But they say, okay, this is, they'll ask and feel. And it says, no, water is where water is, and so work yourself around that one.
Yeah.
And my garden does it funny.
Okay.
Well, it's sort of funny. When I came here and I sort of sat with the gardener and I sort of said, what do you want me to do then? Yes, wildlife, environment, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, okay. But what do you want me to do? How? Where? Where am I going to sit? That was pretty easy. I was just straight there. And so that was okay. And it has got easy compass points in that the garden is square.
Right.
And it's north. This is a bit weird because north is on my right when I've got my back to the house.
Okay.
The house wall is obviously east.
Yeah.
To my left is south, and I'm facing west. So if I want to,
right,
I'm actually facing north now.
Yeah.
Because this is the way of it.
Mine's completely the opposite. North is on my left when I stand with my back to the house.
Yeah. And you do tend to stand with your back to the house, kind of thing. So it's sort of like, and when I feel the need to be with the compass points particularly, I make a point of standing facing the right direction. And some things do work that way. But then it went seriously weird on me because what it said it wanted was an 8-pointed star, the garden to be sort of like an 8-pointed star. It sort of is. So, I got the 4 basic compass points. I thought, oh, that's fine, And so we've got, north is there on my right. So down in this corner is northeast. That's fine. So, okay, we've got milk. That's fine. East, right. Okay, spring. Left-hand corner, Beltane. That's fine. Absolutely great. South, fine. Midsummer. North, southwest. Lammas, fine. Got that one. And then round to, which is actually where I sit, which is northeast corner, which is where the pond is. And it always said wanted to be. So that's absolutely fine. So then they all wanted something in those corners, particularly to say, I'm about this. I'm about this.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's easy enough. So we got milk. That's not bad. So it took a bit of a while to work out how to do it. And then as I went clunk, there is a willow tree in that corner.
Right.
So, okay. But it also wanted a willow arch. So when I pruned the willow tree, I stuck a load of saplings in and I'll be building that.
Lovely.
Yeah, hopefully. If I can succeed in doing it. And they, where are we? Southeast corner. Beltane, lovely. I had made in the last places a very simple moon gate.
Nice.
Which is just 2 metal sort of poles and a circle in it. And this local blacksmith made it for me, and it's gorgeous. So, and that had to go there as soon as we got anybody to fix it. So it's there. So I thought, Beltane. Oh, that's fine. Bladius, I thought to myself. So there was sort of, right, okay. And we got round to the southwest corner, Lammas. Serious. Lammas, instant thought is harvest, John Barleycorn, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
No.
Didn't want that.
Well, it just wasn't. It's my shady corner. It's my woody corner.
Right. So that doesn't tally.
It does actually, because this threw me off my perch completely. In the corner is what used to be, don't be horrified everybody, the old privy when this was a farm.
Right.
Which is a lovely little tiny brick shed. It's perfectly clean, it's absolutely gorgeous, and it's even got a little niche in one wall. I haven't set it up as I want it yet. And I had Paul and I are Winnie the Pooh fans, and he's an owl person and I'm a cat person, so we're also pea green boat and other shit like that. I know, sorry. And so we'd always wanted to live at the Wallery, which is where Owl lived.
Right, yes.
So,
I love Winnie the Pooh. My children were brought up on Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, yeah.
Our wedding invitations were Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, I love that. No, we didn't quite manage that. So another friend up in Scotland who carves Pictish type drawings, which I absolutely adore.
Yeah, fantastic.
And he said, I'll do you a slate sign with a Pictish owl saying the Wallery.
Excellent.
So we had this on the door in the old house. I thought, no, I don't want it here. And then it said, I'm up there.
Right.
In my shady corner. That's the Wallery.
Right.
So I'm sorry about this, but I'm not, because Bladius
For anybody that doesn't know what Ellen's talking about, it is from the Winnie the Pooh books, and Owl's house has a sign on it, Wallery, which obviously not very good at spelling.
No, well, he was called Wall, you see. So this is quite understandable. It just shows that I'm completely off my head, but there we are.
All the best people are.
Exactly. So there we've got the Owl corner.
Right.
In the southwest for Lammas.
Excellent.
Now, most people would not naturally associate owls and Lammas. Owls are quite a lot Bladius. They have got other connections as well, but Bladius is the one most people know, the owl woman. And so there it was. And so I was there like, it was my head that was wrong, not Otherworld. They're sort of like, oh, for God's sake. My head was like, I can't do this, I can't do this. And they're saying, yes, you bloody can do it. And so we did. So I thought, well, what then? Because the moon gate was fine, but it wasn't quite enough. So what is going there? Hair.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's also apparently about Olwen of the White Track.
Okay.
Which is that time of year. Well, it's actually it's Imulk as part of it is, along with Bridie. But so they're all like shuffled. Like Caridwen has stayed where she should be. She's up in the northwest corner in the pond.
Right. Getting her feet wet.
Something. She says, this is me, sort of. Other they do what they like, but at least I've got one stable point that has not thrown me completely. The rest of it has.
But I think that's a good example, isn't it? I think we get so set that Earth has to go there, and South has to be there, and fire has to be there, and we get so set that that's exactly how things should be. We fight against it sometimes, when really you should trust your intuition, because it will work out in the end.
Yeah. and it does, and
Yeah.
you find, oh, I would have thought of that. And I mean, I usually get my gang are quite rude, which is nice, really. But it's like, get out of your box, listen.
Yeah.
At least open the bloody lid and smell the coffee, you know. And we do that. We get stuck into a training,
Yeah.
which is not wrong.
No.
It's just, it's not the only thing in the universe.
No. No, that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, you've got to
is.
trust your intuition always, and practicality. And one of my basic initial training was, oh, your altar, it's got to go in the north. You know, there's no other place for it. Got to go in the north. And I can feel the vibes from here coming from you.
It's just there. It's in the west.
And I did. I moved everything out round at first, because you don't know any better when you're first learning, do you? And you think that what you're being told is the way to go. So I did, and I always kept it in the north. But yeah, I've got them all over the place now. My main one at the minute is in the east, because it fits in the room in the east. I've got one behind me, so that's south as well. My one downstairs is in the west.
Yeah.
Although I've got one in the north as well. Yeah, I got them all over the place, but I put them where they fit now, or where they feel right.
Where they feel right, very much. When I first moved my stuff into this room, the window ledge wanted to be the altar. That's down that way. I thought, oh, lovely, you know, really nice. So we sat up there, and then I acquired this cupboard behind me, which I actually needed desperately. And all the altar pieces were going, excuse me, excuse me. Is she going to listen? Excuse me. And we want to be on top of the cupboard. So you're on top of the cupboard. You know.
And that's another lesson too. I think we talked about this last week, about listening and looking and paying attention to things. And yes, you may think we're all completely bonkers that are all trying but they do, don't they? And I think when you're setting up your altar as well, you go to put something on it and you think, oh, that doesn't feel right.
No, exactly.
Oh, no, that doesn't want to be there.
Well, you've got it set, and all of a sudden something's going, get me out of here, you know, and you've got to move it.
Yes.
You know, it really is sort of like that. And another little wee example, which is actually from the ordinary world, really ordinary world. When I was training as a garden designer, Pershore, yonks ago, we had a fantastic, the tutors were all very good, but the plantsman was utterly fantastic. He was absolutely gorgeous, the man who taught you about plants. And so some of the things we do is sort of like, what are the characteristics of this plant? And, you know, how does it root? What soil does it need? What conditions does it need? When does it flower, etc. And so we'd be sort of doing one set of plants, and somebody, the first time it happened, somebody came out with, mine doesn't do that. And he said, that's all right, the plant hasn't read the book.
Yeah. Yes.
I just went, brilliant. Yeah. Absolutely perfect. And that fits for this world too.
Yeah.
Books were written by humans.
Yeah.
I mean, both of us write the most incredibly wonderful books, perfect, and you've got to buy them all. Having got over that. You're humans.
You're writing a gardening one at the moment, aren't you?
I am, yeah. But they are all written by humans. I mean, yes, we can be amanuensis, i.e., you know, scribe for other world, and we listen to other world when we write, and, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't do that, you know, do this. Oh, right, okay.
And sometimes you write something, you think, I don't really remember writing that. Where did that come from?
All the time, yeah. Especially in fiction, you sort of go back to your chapter and you sort of go, really? Did he? Oh. Oh, well, right, okay. I just got my eyes and put my hands on the keyboard, you know, and you do it. But no, in the non-fiction stuff we write, it's just the same, isn't it?
Mm.
And
I think gardens in particular do lend themselves to working with the elements, don't they? When you're doing the layout and things, it is, yeah. I hadn't really thought about it from, my garden's so tiny anyway, but we want a water feature in there. We've got a bird bath at the minute, but it's in the south. And that's exactly where I'm going to put the water feature as well, because that's where it's going to go. Whether it likes it or not, no, that's where it's going to go. It can't go in the west because the house is in the west. There's no room for it.
very true. I mean, my water features in the northeast. This is where Caridon wants to be. That's where the pond is, and that's where it's, as soon as we saw the house, that's where it had to be.
Yeah.
And so, no, we can't put water in the west.
No. And I'm kind of going along the lines that South works with Sulis, for example, a healing goddess, sun, very connected with solar energy, but also healing waters. So that's what I'm going with. My water feature is going to be in the south because it's associated with healing spa waters.
Okay.
Or the sun connection. That's what I'm saying.
That makes the connection easier for you. Then that's absolutely fine.
That's what it's going to be.
I do think we should point out to people that you don't have to find something in the book that justifies what you do.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Your intuition, you and your own work with your own guides, for want of a better word. As long as you keep checking and keep listening, back to that again, stick with that. And if somebody or some book tells you you've got it all wrong,
throw the book away.
Throw the book away, and possibly the person. You say, that sort of person, do you want them?
I mean, I teach about working with the elements, as I'm sure you do. And I think there are lists. I've got lists in my own books. There are lists everywhere, and everything generally has an association with a particular element, doesn't it? Whether it's a plant or a herb or a food or a type of magic, or even I like to encourage my students to look at the mundane things that we do as well and associate them with an element, because I think we forget about that, like gardening, washing your hair, or they've all got an association with an element, haven't they? And I think we forget about those mundane things as well. But everything really has got that association with an element. So we do work with them on a really regular basis.
And literally every day, because like you, I think of them and work with them on an everyday basis. Even to the idea of, like, when I wash my hair or when I mow the grass, I don't have a lawn, I have paths in meadows.
Yeah.
Between meadows. So, but it still needs mowing. Otherwise, you just mess it all completely. So I've made the arrangement with the garden and the elements and the insects and the birds and everything. Like, I need this space for walking on.
Yeah.
Guys, you who need long grass, I'm sorry, I'm leaving you lot, but not this bit.
Yeah.
And that sort of really worked. But another one that really screws people's heads up, I teach this weirdo thing called biodynamics.
Yes. I love that you call it a weirdo thing.
Well, it is. And it's fantastic. And I've never known anything work as well as this does. So, totally.
Well, it makes sense. And if you look it up and have a look at one of their previous talks, because you did go through it, didn't you, in one of the earlier talks? Yeah.
But in that, we've got actually, can we share screen a minute? I'll see if I can find this.
Oh, you're getting techie show off now.
Oh, well, I mean, I managed to bugger up my talk on MoonCon by being techie and things in and screwing Facebook.
I will remind people, both Ellen and I did separate talks, and we did a Shoot in the Wild Witch Breeze a couple of weekends ago now at MoonCon 21. If you missed the talks, do have a look on the Moonbooks Facebook page for the replays, and also on the Moonbooks YouTube channel for the replays of all the talks. There were some fantastic talks and panels that weekend. I came away from it with my head spinning with so much information and awe at the amount of knowledge that people have. It blew me away. So if you missed it, get over there and have a look.
It is fantastic, and really do. And Rachel and her husband very kindly fixed my unintentional screw up that Facebook went, we're not publishing that.
Oh yeah, copyright, naughty.
Oh yeah, you know, I was in the naughty corner for weeks with Facebook after that. It's frightful. You can see it really affected me. Sort of bloody Facebook. I used a video that anybody can watch on YouTube anytime, and they moaned about copyright. I mean, excuse me, hello.
I'll let you say the name of the band because you pronounce it better than I do.
Vodrona.
That's the one.
If you haven't heard them, go and listen.
Yes, they are amazing. Definitely amazing.
And they are right in on this stuff too.
Mm.
They use the Norse tradition, but it's so similar. And they're actually working now with a Scottish woman who sings Gaelic. And
right.
They're working with the Irish Gaelic and the Scottish Gaelic stuff. So I'm going to try and get them to say, come on, some Welsh people, they do it too. Aside from that. Anyway, I now have my picky that we can share, so we can go back to the elements. That was good.
That was a nice lead in.
How do do you want me to do the share screen, or you?
Yeah, you'll have to do it from there first. Click the share screen button at the bottom.
There I am. That's it. Okay. It's just a screen. And I want a window. And I want that one. And hopefully.
There we go.
We've got it.
There she blows.
No, she blows indeed. Terrifying book, that. Okay, so we have earth, air, fire, and water. Now, that's what we know, isn't it? But actually,
all in the one plant. It's Mother Nature's a clever old thing.
This is one of the ways that we really, really, really do work. And you really notice things from this, that earth works with fire in this angle, yeah? And air and water really work together. And it brings it out so much. And there it all is in a plant.
Yeah.
You know, go out and look at your lettuce. Well, not quite yet, because hopefully your lettuce is not flowering and bolting. But any plant, look at it, and it does this, and it works with every element.
It's so simple, isn't it? When you just look at it like that, it's so simple and straightforward.
Yeah. And I do use this. I did this for the biodynamic book, but I use it all the time in teaching the elements. And it's not actually mine. It's actually my husband drew this. So it should have attribution Paul, you know. I'm sure if you want to use it in your stuff, Rachel, I'm sure he wouldn't mind. So
bless him. We have useful husbands, don't we?
Well, we do. And but it is so simple.
Yeah.
You start looking at it that way.
Yeah.
Instead of getting too hung up on the compass directions. I'll stop sharing it now. It will come back to us. But it's just a little thing that sort of helps or may help.
Yes. I think we try to make things too complicated, don't we, with quite a lot of stuff, really. Well, life in general, probably.
Yes.
The elements are the basics, aren't they? We couldn't survive without them. They are what we need to live and to survive. So paring it right back down to the basic level makes so much more sense than making things very complicated.
It does, and you're so right about we can't live without it. I mean, try living without air. How
Not
long
going to
is
happen.
it going to last?
Not a very long time.
2 minutes, I think, is the average. And that's pretty painful and awful.
Yeah.
Water, how long are you going to last?
It's only a few days, isn't it?
A few days, yeah.
Mhm.
Food, how long are you going to last? That can be a few weeks if you've got air and water.
Probably not for me. I probably wouldn't last a day.
Well, quite apart from that, but and fire. What are you going to do when it's freezing cold?
Yeah.
You're going to die. You're going to get hypothermia and die.
Yep.
So we cannot actually live without those. You can't. If you need to cook your food, which not everybody does, but if you do, you need fire for that too. And you may well need fire for making tools and things as well.
Well, yeah, without fire, we would be back to the Stone Age, wouldn't we? And
yeah, come on. Well, we wouldn't, because we got fire in the Stone Age. but no, I mean, we would not have metal because you cannot do metal without melting rocks. And you need a hell of a lot of fire for that. Don't try it in the wood burning stove.
Speaking from experience there.
I've got a lovely blacksmith friend who does the most incredible stuff.
I think that is one of the most fascinating trades and skills, and so full of magic and history, and definitely a between the worlds job. If anything, is so much magic attached to it, and
he knows it too. He makes the most beautiful knives and axes and other implements and decoratives. I haven't got them on today, but he's made earrings for me and all sorts of stuff. And he normally uses gas for his fire because it gets hot very quickly and it's very controllable and all this kind of thing. But he made my knife for me at a bushcraft long weekend thing, and there he was demonstrating Iron Age forging, which is the fire is in a pit and you build tunnels and you have bellows bags which you make from hide that gets it hot, and you'd sort of think, you're used to the gas or something, you think, how's it going to do it? Oh yeah. So he forged the metal for my knife in the very, in the old, original, early way.
Excellent.
And he knows that, and he knows all this stuff. Doesn't usually talk about it very much because he's sort of in business as a blacksmith and quite a bit of a bushcrafter. And some bushcrafters will talk about it, and others sort of think weirdo. And so he's careful where he chats, but he does know.
But that's bringing all the four elements together, isn't it? That's you're working with all four elements if you're a blacksmith on a daily basis.
Yeah,
bringing that, it's alchemy, really, isn't it? Bringing all of them together to create something.
He says that, and your metal comes from rock, so you have to get rock and melt rock, and that's earth. Okay.
Yeah.
And you use fire to melt the rock. Now, remember what I said with the plants, that angle that
connection
together. They have it in that, and then you need the air in order to make it hot enough and to help it with the various stages, because you oxidize metal to some extent in order to make it sharper or less sharp or whatever. Which people don't sort of realize. I sort of sat there going, and then when it's forged, you plunge it in the water.
Yeah.
Set it.
And 4 elements, brilliant.
There you are. And it is sort of a mundane thing, as you were saying, but you need to really think about it because it isn't, is it? Like you said.
No, I did. The blacksmithing is otherworldly, absolutely. Very, very magical, I think.
And not funnily enough, but interestingly, some of our songs about the god and the goddess are about the blacksmiths.
Mm.
There's
Yes.
one called The Coal Blacksmith. And a lot of people take it as a sort of rape song because he chases her. Mind you, it does start off with he sort of says, "Oh, yeah, I really fancy you," kind of stuff. And so she goes, "Really? Keep up with me then." And so they shapeshift and shapeshift and shapeshift. And can he keep up? Can he keep up? Can he keep up? And eventually he passes the test, and so it's all right. But he is the blacksmith, and it's in the song. And she.
Do you think though that we take something like that, which is obviously old, it's folklore, it's one of the old songs, and we see it in a different light today, and a light that it wasn't ever meant to be interpreted in? Like you said, some people see it as a rape song. It wouldn't have originally been meant in that way at all, would it? And I do wonder if sometimes we do misinterpret these days because we try and put modern ideas and modern morals, I guess, onto these old stuff, and it's not meant to be like that. And it's a shame because we do lose quite a lot of it, I think, because people then shove it aside because it's not appropriate anymore. When really there's nothing wrong with it.
No, I mean, I find this quite a bit, and there's quite often sort of one student who's still thinking that way, and so we have to talk it right through. But it's really good for everybody to talk it right through anyway. But a lot of those old ideas come from the Victorians, actually. They didn't exist before. But, I mean, you've got this wonderful thing because Victoria was a sort of funny, prissy old biddy. and I don't know whether anybody knows, but if you read her diary, she was a bloody nymphomaniac. Honestly.
She had quite a few children, did she?
Well, I mean, she writes about her first night with Albert.
Right, okay.
And it's pornographic.
Right.
It really is. So you've got like this one side of it, sort of high necks.
Yes, she does.
Get me at it.
She does look prim and proper, doesn't she?
And so there's this sort of like falsification. I can't say who I really am. I have to pretend to be this, but in fact, I'm that. And I think, and I'm just using her because I said Victorian, but the attitudes permeated through the whole of that 100 years.
The Victorians loved the occult too, didn't they? They loved the whole, ectoplasm, totally their thing. They were really into the occult, weren't they? A lot of the fiction that came out from the Victorian era was all based on the occult, and that's where a lot of the secret societies and they loved it, didn't they? It was absolutely their thing.
And a lot of them actually had a lot of sense, and they got it right. A bit weird, but they got it right. But with the fairies, whereas the old tales like the Mabinogion, it all gets dressed up in Victorian morals. And that's not the stories.
No. Well, it was the idea of fairies in little frilly dresses and gossamer wings was Victorian, wasn't it? That's where all that came from.
Yeah. And it never was before. And I mean, it's not in the older tales that the Grimm brothers actually collected. If you can get hold of those, they are scary.
Oh, yeah, the original Grimm stories are horrible. They really are quite gruesome.
Oh, they really are. And those are the original stories from the countryside. And they were in Germany, Austria sort of place.
Yeah.
But they're not that different from our own.
No.
Or from France or Spain or Italy. And they do all bring in the four elements. You find so often in the story, the hero has to work through all of the elements, and the tests go through all
the challenges. Yeah.
Before they get to wherever it is they're supposed to be going.
Yeah.
And so, we work with the elements all the time.
I think we do well whenever we do a ritual. Generally, we call in the quarters, don't we? We bring the elements in.
Yeah.
Whenever we do spell work, we quite often invoke the elements or bring them into it with the ingredients or their energies. Or it's a huge part of, isn't it? Interesting though, because most people say four elements.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, there is the fifth one as well, and have to be careful because I always want to say the fifth elephant rather than element. I said it in ritual one, and it's stuck with me. And
I would have died. I was on the floor laughing.
We're doing this whole big open ritual with all these people, and I came out with fifth elephant, and I couldn't change it. Then it stuck with me. The rest of the ritual, it was elephants. The whole lot in a very English field full of beech trees. We invited the elephants in.
You know. And if you're going to start getting sort of booky and finding justification, Ganesha.
Oh yes, he's behind me actually. Yes, got a statue of him behind me. Yeah.
So elephant is not necessarily wrong.
No. I do find that quite a lot of people don't. Whenever I get students to work with elements as well, no one mentions spirit or ether or whatever you want to call it, and it doesn't really appear very much either. We don't call on the fifth element in ritual generally either, do we? Not as a
not in this country.
No.
I mean, in the East they do. Some of the North American tribes do. If you get deep, the nearest we get to it perhaps is if you get deeply involved in the Irish Gaelic work, then the elements come out as not just the 7 rainbow colours, but the whole spectrum.
Right.
And it's the winds there.
And
it is quite fascinating. And that's too simple. It's much more than that. So, those of you who are into it will know, but it is so different. And in, I think it's Japanese and possibly Chinese, the fifth element is wood.
Yes, I have seen that used quite often, which it kind of makes sense to me, actually. That does make sense.
It does. And the way I do it is I have the 4 elements as a cross on the horizontal, but I also invoke earth, or sun, earth, and self.
Right, okay.
So you've got the vertical axis,
yes,
and which is also like upper world, middle world, lower world.
Yeah.
And then the 4 elements who work, and this is the way I was taught, work in this world. Right.
Yeah.
Of course they do.
Yes.
And so you've got this we call it the 6-arm cross, and it's spherical. It's not flat.
Yeah.
And I do find it works because you get people to really root.
Yeah. Well, that's like casting the circle, isn't it? When you say cast the circle, so many people just think it's a circle.
It's a circle.
I have to remind them that it is above and below. You have to make it into a sphere, and that ties in. The idea of the 6-arm cross ties in brilliantly with it.
Yeah, it does, and it comes out. We've got actually. Shall I get it? We've got a very lovely brass model that somebody made for me. Shall I go and get it?
Oh, show and tell. We always like a bit of show and tell.
Right, hang on, everybody. Talk about
yourselves. I will remind you just while Ellen's gone to hop on over to the Moonbooks Facebook page and or the YouTube channel. We had such a good response from everybody. It was an absolute pleasure to be a part of it. And there is a huge amount of information and some very, very talented speakers, and it's all for free. And you can watch the replays at any time. So do hop on over there. Oh, I like that.
Hang on, let me hold it up.
That looks like something that should be sitting on Da Vinci's desk.
Possibly, yeah. Let's tilt it a little bit so that you get the idea again. So you've got the cross of the 4 elements there, and the vertical axis that holds them together, and then the circles that join them. It is very Da Vinci, isn't it, really? Let me get myself out of the way. Let's try that way. You've got the light against it. I think
it
that's
is. You've
better.
got the Celtic solar cross, haven't you?
Absolutely, yeah.
Horizontal and vertical. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, you've got the whole thing in there. And the person who made this had also got this, because you've got 1, 2, 3 directions, 4, 5, 6, 7. Does that remind you of anything?
No,
yes. And to make it really the point, he put it on a plinth. Can I get this right? Am I doing? Yeah, you can just about see it. It's on 7 steps.
Oh, so much magic now.
I
but
mean,
of course,
the guy was great.
Numerology is something that you do as well, isn't it? That makes my head explode just thinking about numerology.
Yeah, I don't do it much like anybody else, of course.
I wouldn't expect you to.
No, I'm sorry about this. But my teacher was brilliant.
I have got your book, actually, your numerology book.
I learnt the number side of it from her. And then when I was doing the transpersonal psychology training, I found so much of what we were being taught, because I don't know what it's like now, but when I did it with Ian Gordon Brown and Barbara Summers, without mentioning spirit at all, spirit was always there.
Right.
And so I found that what they were talking about with archetypes, say, for want of a better word, fitted so well with the numerology. And so I started working with this, and I did it professionally for 10 years. And people would come to me or write to me or whatever. And it does. And it makes sense that the person can understand that it's not just like, do you remember the plant hasn't read the book? It's not like that. It's not like, I'm a 7, therefore I should be a.
Right.
I should be a.
Yeah.
I'm a 7, so, well, there's this and this. Yeah, actually, if I did that, that works.
That makes sense, yeah.
They can absorb it and grow and change for themselves. So that's the way I do it. And the book does actually, if you want to learn it, you can do your own from the book and learn. There's a hell of a lot more than is in the book.
Yeah.
But that's all experience, and I don't know that I want to write the sort of tome that thick on it. Bored. But yeah, it does. And again, they all work with the elements, but there isn't a set thing of 7 isn't Earth or something.
Right. Yeah.
All the time. But how it works with that is that each number has an earth aspect, an air aspect, a fire aspect, and a water aspect. And so you start to go, I'm in a fire day today. That's sort of working. I'm really in a water day today. And you start to learn to feel yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm much more interested in people, here's some tools. Now find your way.
Yeah.
And you do that too, don't you?
Well, yeah, you don't. I think any good teacher would. You don't want to tell people this is how to do it. You want to sort of say, well, how would you do it? Try that, push, a little nudge. Work it out how you would do it.
Indeed.
You learn more that way, I think, don't you?
You do. And there has to be a little bit of structure in there, because I'm thinking of painting, for instance. And there you are with your watercolors, and you mix them with oil. What happens? Oh, you can, but you know, what happens?
It's messy.
It's messy anyway. And if you put too much water in, what happens? If you use the paint straight, what happens?
Yeah.
So there's like, here's your tools. Now learn to use them.
Yes.
And that's the basic structure that I do with everybody. And then on the advanced course, we take it a lot further with play with this, put those two together, and you go, oh, go on, do it, see what happens. No, you probably won't blow up. It's all right.
Probably not.
I always say probably.
Yeah.
I am not risking saying never.
There's a little disclaimer in the small print.
Yeah. You sort of think, if you blow yourself up, just go back to atoms. I don't want the paperwork. No, I'm a bit nicer than that.
I think we have, you said about having a water day or a fire day, or we have all those elements within us and within our personalities and characteristics anyway, don't we? Some more prominent than others, depending on the day or who's upset us. Or
and that's fine too. You don't have to have them all. And there's something else which I teach a lot. You know, we think of balance and we think this. But actually, that's just as balanced.
Yeah.
So
I think we do work with their students to find where they're balanced or unbalanced, or you know, what they've got most of, or not enough, or you know, we get them to work out which elements they work with more than others, just purely to see what the differences are. And if you feel you want to bring in more fire or more water, then you can see what the levels are and you can work with it.
Indeed. And it is important that and because, as you say, it does change with every day. So you can't just say, oh, I'm a Leo, so I'm a fire person, but I'm not only a fire person. You know, I have all of the others. At some days, I'm much more air or much more water or much more earth. And that sort of settles as well. And go back to that plant drawing I put up. You know, over in the Northern Hemisphere, be specific, in the Northern Hemisphere, over winter, plants work mostly with their roots.
They're underground, aren't they?
It's not necessarily a clever idea in January in a frost.
No.
And plants do actually know this. So they work with the soil. And so they're very soily creatures, you know, earthy creatures at that time. And then spring comes along and they start putting up leaves. And leaves are absolutely, they're like our bodies. They're 70 or 80% water.
Yeah.
And so they're really watery beings, and they're sucking in loads of energy by photosynthesis and sucking it up from the soil, and they're growing and getting bigger. And then, you know, there's enough sun, so they go, way, I can flower. And poof, they flower. And then, oh, right, now I've got enough juice in me to make it. And now I can go back to sleep again and mend myself over the winter.
Yeah.
So at times a plant isn't a watery thing all the time. It depends.
No.
And we're just the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to hibernate in the winter.
I do, yeah, because I love the fire. And I love snow though, and I will go out in snow.
I like the idea of snow. We don't get it a lot down here because we're right by the ocean, but we're not really equipped to deal with it in the UK. So from a practical point of view, I don't like snow because one little snowflake and the whole country seems to grind to a halt.
I know. And you sort of think, really? But I mean, I don't mind it up here so much because we did actually get it this year, which was great. But most of the people who always live here are sort of prepared for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
you know, you probably won't be able to catch the train because, you know, there was a leaf on the line or whatever it was. But most of us are competent to get our car out, or if
Yeah.
our car won't do it, we've got a mate down the road who's got a 4-wheel driving. We say, help, I need some milk.
Yeah.
So we work with it, but I can actually just go out and walk in it.
Mm.
And that is just like,
Yes, there's something very special, isn't it? Freshly laid snow. It's that silence, isn't it, that you get, I think, that there's something very special about it. But I like air seasons. I like the changing of the seasons. I'm not sure I would be comfortable living somewhere where the seasons don't change. I'm sure they're different to how they were when I was a kid.
Yes,
they don't seem quite as defined, maybe, as they used to be. Maybe I'm just getting old, I don't know. But I do like the changing of the seasons.
I mean, if you garden or if you watch wildlife, you know they're not.
Yeah.
Because of the different things that the garden and the plants do and the trees and the things that the animals and the birds do. No, they've changed.
Or even this year, we're looking at pictures from our garden last year, because good old Facebook throws up the memories, isn't it? We are probably 3 weeks behind where we were last year, weather-wise and with the plants' growth and everything.
Yeah, most people in this country are. I mean, the only reason you probably wouldn't be is if you've got a polytunnel or something.
Yeah.
But no, we are behind. I mean, I had hawthorn. The hedges were full of hawthorn at the beginning of June.
No, it's supposed to be May. Does it not know?
Well, it knows, but it's sort of saying you screwed the atmosphere and the planet up. You know, I'm just adapting to what you've done, guys.
Yeah.
So it isn't that the seasons don't know; it's that we've messed it.
And I think that's a whole other talk, obviously. But I think it is about that. For me, is why it's important to watch and connect with nature, rather than the dates on the calendar. Or the set dates of the Sabbats or any of the celebrations, or forget the calendar, watch Mother Nature and see what she's doing.
And make sure that you do celebrate her as she does things.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like you like to be noticed, so does nature.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you've only got to look at just a single flower and think how amazing it is that Mother Nature just created that.
And if you get used to doing it, you will feel a thank you come back.
Oh, yeah. Connecting with plant spirits is an amazing experience.
I look out the window. We've got a lot of oak trees around us, and when they were first opening their buds of leaves, and that colour that you get, and against the black branches. And it's just so beautiful. And I sort of hang up my bedroom window saying, guys, this is a fantastic show. Thank you.
Yeah. Round of applause.
Well, I didn't even do that. I was just sort of like, yeah, I'm gobsmacked as usual. You're great. But you feel the thanks coming back. I'm glad to be noticed. I'm glad at least one human is noticing me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's terribly important.
Our garden is full of roses at the moment. The roses are just breathtaking at the minute. And I mean, we only have a tiny little square, but I think we've got about 20 different roses.
Wonderful. No, and the scent must be stunning.
Oh, yeah. And the bees. Oh, it's deafening. And you go out there and I'm sure they're saying, get out of the way.
Yes.
They seem to get really cross that you're actually daring to walk through your own garden because you're in their way. But yeah, the roses at the moment are just spectacular.
They are. I mean, ours are here. They're really, really lovely. Some of them are still coming on. There's one big bush out, or two big bushes out the front there. And they are just totally covered. And I'm going to have to start climbing up and deadheading soon.
Yes.
But at the moment, it's just so stunning.
Yeah.
I'm leaving it alone.
Yeah.
And then there's more out in the front garden there that is, you know, they will need deadheading. but otherwise they are just so gorgeous. And the scent, when I went round watering this morning, round the back, and I just sort of went to turn the hose pipe on and past the one of the, well, between two of the beds, and it was
Yeah.
you know,
There's nothing like it, is it? It is amazing.
it was absolutely superb.
Which is, I think, a perfect way to end. So get out and look at nature. Wherever
Yes.
you are, even if you don't have a garden, find a park, find something to go and look at.
Yeah.
And really, really take notice of it.
Yeah.
She's working really hard, Mother Nature, to provide stuff for us to look at. So pay attention.
Yeah. And all of the stuff that we're looking at, like you were saying with the bees, is all helping us get something to eat. And it's all helping us, and through the green leaves, is all helping us get some oxygen to breathe.
Yep. We wouldn't be here without the bees.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, get out there and do it. And yes, do work with the elements.
Whatever you're doing.
We do, and you do too.
Yeah.
Okay then. Right.
Take care. Good chat again. Lovely to speak with you. And I will see you in a couple of weeks.
You will indeed. Take care then.
Bye-bye.